Hello, guys. Welcome to our first Choose to Cruise Zoom review. So for those of you who may be watching this on YouTube, we are doing a review of our Choose to Cruise program that Anya Faust and I put together back in, was it last year? I don't even know what year it is. So, the point structure is very similar to when we earned that cruise. There are a couple differences, very minor. But honestly, me and Anya have earned many trips, and they're all based around the exact same things, just like all the same things we should be focused on in our business. So really there's no use. We were like, let's just do a review of that program because we had so many earners from that incentive, which is super exciting, right? And let's just go through it together with the people who want to. But of course we have to have some accountability to this because me and Anya are putting our time into running this review of a group. So the first thing that we had y'all do, other than initial the post when you came in, was make a plan for how you're going to earn this. Now, even for myself, looking at where I am in the incentive, which is pretty good, but looking at how August is going, just know that you may feel, oh my gosh, I cannot do this. There's no way that I'm going to earn this amount of points in this amount of time when this is where I'm at right now. You have to understand that we are ending the spring and summer still. So even though we've started our new fall and winter catalog, we are still in what's considered spring and summer time of business. September through end of November, early December is our absolutely crazy time. Insert income disclosure. This is when paychecks double. This is when we have double promotions in 1 month. This is when we have back-to-back promotions month to month. So just know that if you're doing well this month, that's awesome. But there's so much to come this fall. It is always our busy season. It is always it's gift giving season, obviously. It's the time where a lot of people, that's when they buy their Scentsy. So it's a potential for tons and tons of new customers because they're looking to make their home comfy and cozy because they're home more. They're not out vacationing. They're looking to make sure that their home is nice and smelling good because they're having holiday parties. They're having people over to their home. They're not traveling so much. They're having people come over. So just keep that in mind. If you didn't feel some type of way about, if you haven't had the thought, oh my gosh, I can't do this so far, kudos. Because even myself, I'm like, holy crap, like what are we doing right now? You know, like what's going on? Okay, let's be real. So the plan. I hope everyone on here has made a plan. That was not part of our assignments or what we have for accountability to stay in the group. But I am still going to go through at some point and check to make sure that I can see everyone's plan because it is that important. Knowing that you have a plan from literally your PRV to how many people you want to sponsor and certify, to how many people already currently on your team that you see them promoting in the next few months. So even if they've had a last few slow months, that's okay. If they're on your team, they still have the potential to promote. We already have many promotions this month. And people are already getting those points for the incentive. Okay, so don't let that fall to the wayside. Know that this incentive can be earned even level 3 without sponsoring one person if you already have a team. Okay, because those count as sponsoring points for people, your frontline to promote. Now, do I suggest that? Absolutely not. The sponsoring points are much lower this incentive, which I will say, and this is going to be an unpopular opinion, not a fan. I think sponsoring points should be much higher than they are for this, especially for an incentive where higher points get to choose. That's just my personal opinion. You can agree or disagree, doesn't matter. But the facts are facts. You can earn this incentive and go on your choice of a trip without sponsoring one person if you already have a team. Again, I don't recommend that. It's going to be easier, just like in this business, the more people you sponsor, the wider that front line, the more people that are active, and the more people that you are teaching to do what you are doing. Okay. So that's the first thing, is the plan. And then, are you teaching your team to do the same things that you're doing, that you're focusing on, that you're wanting, right? And sharing that with people. So that's the momentum of this season right now, is to be able to share and tell people how you're working, what's working for you, maybe what's not working for you, sharing when you're going through a hard time, all of those things. So the first question I want to ask y'all is, if you want to unmute, feel free to unmute. If you want to put it in the chat, put it in the chat. What have you implemented in your business that you have learned from week 1 of this program? And I ask that for a few reasons. One is a lot of y'all were in Choose to Cruise. A lot of the presenters are in Choose to Cruise review. So just know that even if you're brand new yesterday, we're still watching the videos along with you, and I'm still learning things. I'm literally learning things from myself, where I'm like, God, I really forgot to focus on that. Or I really let that go to the back burner when it really shouldn't be. Okay. So what have y'all implemented in your business that you've learned either from week 1 or week 2 trainings that you have changed and are implementing? I just saw a hand raised and then it disappeared. Who was that? Oh, Nikki, go. Yes, go.
The importance of sponsoring early, and then really pushing them to understand their why at a really early get-go, so they can hit that sensational, they can hit sensational start, they can hit shooting star. Like, I forgot how much I enjoyed sponsoring, like, because I just was like, my team's getting too big. I got overwhelmed, and I was like, okay, I'm okay for a while. And then I was like, but I really enjoy sponsoring and blessing others. So I did that twice already this month. They both hit shooting star already. And I'm really excited to continue to watch them grow and help others continue to grow with this.
Yeah, and that's amazing that, well, obviously I have on my notes for today, sponsor, because even though I said that at the beginning that you don't have to sponsor to earn this, it's going to make it so much easier. But for instance, Nikki's 2 people that she sponsored this month, they could easily promote to director by the end of this year. And that is a lot of sponsoring points for themselves and for Nikki. So the potential of the incentive is unreal. And when you open up that door for sponsoring, it opens up that door for so many more incentive points too. All right, Stephanie, creating a plan and making sure to stick to it. I'm constantly looking at my plan and making sure that I'm using it to build my business. Yeah, so that's where like the PRV comes in. Your PRV plan should be at minimum 1,000 PRV a month. And I don't know if we said that in either one of those trainings yet, but it should be 1,000 PRV minimum, because you get those extra points for having that 1,000 PRV consistently, or 5 out of the 6 months, right? So 1,000 minimum. That should be no way around it, right? Because you can always work for more PRV. Go, Katrina.
Well, now the baby's talking and it's my turn to get my kid. Crap. But this is going to sound, I think it's going to sound really stupid, or maybe not necessarily stupid or basic, is I just forgot the importance of consistently sharing, like on all platforms. And so I really went deep into that and how important partying is. I feel like when we've been doing it for almost 5 years, like me and Anya, like sometimes you can forget, like you can be set in your ways to go like, well, I don't need to party because I'm full, TK, no problem. Well, then it's 2K, no problem. So I really had to go back, literally back to basics on partying. And so really just focusing on partying and sharing consistently has helped me immensely.
Yeah, and that's why it sounds ugly, but that's why we have the accountability part of this group, where it's like, if you're not doing the assignments, we do take you out. Okay. We've had everyone, we've already cut the group in half. We've had every single title you can think of already be removed. Why? Because of what she just said. This incentive itself gives you accountability in your business. It's going to show you what you're doing and what you're not doing, right? And that's what the added layer is of this group, to be able to say, like, not only are we watching this program, but we are asking for your feedbacks. One, so we know that our time is being valued, right? But also because that's going to help you in the long run if you're actually doing it. Choose to Cruise is on YouTube. Choose to Cruise has been on YouTube for a very long time. It's on multiple channels from all the presenters, right? It's there if someone wants to use it. But the accountability of our group is what takes it to that next level. So you can say, I really need to do this by this time so I can stay on track. Anya, do you want to? I was trying to keep up with the questions. I don't know if you could answer some of them.
I see just a few people being like, don't assume that people are not going to want to join if you've not talked to them. And I think that's huge, because you just don't know what's going on in someone's mind, but you also don't know what's going on in their home, right? So if you're sharing consistently and you're talking about the opportunity consistently, and they're saying, oh my gosh, look at her dancing around her kitchen, making samples, or, putting together goodie bags. That's huge. And I know one girl, I did a party for her and she was like, I actually think I want to join right at the beginning of this month. And I was like, okay. And her thing was, I see all these cool creative things that you do. And I'm like, I don't feel like I'm that creative. I'm literally just taking other people's stuff, to be completely honest. Like, it's not really original, right? The Canva stuff and all that, that's just templates from other people. But she's like, I love being crafty. So that was one thing that drew her to being a Scentsy consultant, is just because she sees what's put out there. But I never would have been like, I think this girl would be a good Scentsy consultant. It wasn't something I would have thought of. So ask literally everybody, throw out that opportunity. Hey girl, have you ever thought about doing this? Hey, if they're liking something, if they are commenting on something of yours, if you see them really they're watching you, okay? Throw it out there, because you just don't know, and you don't know what it can do for someone else. So I think that's huge. And I know that we do say, like, don't be scared, just do it. It's scary. Okay. It is scary. Right. But I think if you go into it expecting the no, the yes is that much sweeter. So expect the no. Okay. Throw it out there. And then when you get it, yes, it's like this sweet surprise that is so exciting. So I think that's huge. Don't prejudge people. And then Haley put in asking people before the party starts. So I think that's big too. So something I've been trying to do, especially since the one girl was like, I think I actually want to join, is asking people at the beginning of the party. And then at the end saying, okay, now I know that you said you weren't really sure, you didn't know, this is how much commission you would get, and you'd get free, and you'd get half off. Because I started just to get paid back on my own orders. I know a lot of people did. You don't know what this business can be for them. So that's something too, because sometimes it takes planting the seed at the beginning, and then they see how the party's run and they're like, oh, I could do that, right? And then another thing is, for me, just making sure that it doesn't look too difficult. It should be able to look where it can fit into anybody's life at any stage in their life. That's a blessing of Scentsy, right? If they think that everybody here is like Anya, all of you are homeschool moms and you all are sitting at home and all of your husbands are deployed, it's different, right? It's different than saying, oh my gosh, wait a minute, like so-and-so works full time and she's a Scentsy consultant. So-and-so doesn't have any kids and she's a Scentsy consultant, okay? So-and-so's fresh out of college, all right? It needs to be able to look like it can literally fit into anyone's life. That's the blessing of the business, is it can fit anywhere. So that's just some of the things that I saw as I was looking through that I think are pretty important. Oh yeah, Stephanie even put talking about the opportunity. That's the thing. Talk about it. How is it blessing you, right? Talk about the opportunity over and over again. All right.
Can I share something?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, two things that it made me think of when you were talking about, I think it's super important to share the journey of the whole bigger picture of Scentsy, that it's not just the selling of the stuff. And I think that's that concept of like, don't just share flyers. because people come to this for different reasons. And so like I'm trying to encourage my teamies who are right now, they're afraid to share because they don't know, they don't feel confident in it. They're not really sure about things. So I'm like, just show what you're doing. When you make a sample, show how you make that sample, because one, it shows people that you're actually like involved in this business, but it might be something that somebody's interest, like being a crafter or whatever. Like, I think when we share the whole picture, when we share parts of the journey, it gets people, it can pull in different kinds of people for different reasons. I think it also hits on that idea of, what does this job really look like? What does it really take to do this job? And also it hits that idea of authenticity. This is our real lives. Like, if I can do this while we spend hours in the emergency room and still come away with 3 sales, then we know that you can do this. If I can have a Scentsy party on an airplane, you can do this. If you're deployed and have 1 bar of wax to last you a month, you can do this, because it's not necessarily about the product. And so I think that being able, that was one of the realizations that's become more clear to me in participating in this. And the other part that has been not necessarily a light bulb, but kind of like a focusing in or a clarity, is that I really appreciate it, that this really isn't about earning a trip. For some people, it's the earning the trip part is the thing that motivates you to get there, but it's really about teaching us to be better at our business. And I know you kept saying that, but it's not until you're like in it that it's like, okay, if I can do this better, it's not about what I can earn. It's about what I'm going to do, learn, not earn.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing, like, even with this meeting where you just said, we have said it so many times, it's not about a trip, it's not about a trip, it's not about a trip. Now, is that trip going to be life-changing too? Absolutely. It's going to be part of your journey, like you said, and I actually have that in my notes towards the end of the meeting. But this trip that you earn and are able to go on is going to be so much more than just a vacation, right? So it's not going to be a business trip. It's going to be whatever you want it to be, and it's going to be life-changing in itself. But the incentives, and I think that's why a part of me being successful in this business, just to toot my horn a little bit, sorry, not sorry, that's a huge part of my business, is because I earn that first incentive trip so early in my business because I really focused on the things that are important. Not the sample making, not the graphic making, not taking pictures of the products. I literally used to I used to not like taking pictures, for example, right? But now I love it and I have time to do that now, but that's not income producing. Is that helping my team or group? Sure, it might give someone a sale, but it's not necessarily income producing to me. But those are the things that I used to not do because I was working another job. I was having to fit Scentsy into my life. And now that I've been able to make that transition to Scentsy being my full-time job, it's totally different, right? But yeah, it's important too that, like, you have to remember, you have to hear something, 7 times for it to stick. Think about how many times you have to tell your customers the same thing, right? So next week we're going into PRV, and PRV is something that I used to feel differently about, but that is the one thing in your business you can absolutely control, okay? Because there's no one else that can tell you how many people you can talk to, or how many people you can go out and meet, or how many connections you can make. Because yeah, if you stay at home when you just talk to your family and friends, then yeah, your PRV is going to be lower. But if you take the initiative to get out, to go meet people, and to be intentional about it, right, that's going to be able to take it to the next level. So there's so many ways we could go. Anya, do you have any notes that you want to talk about? So I feel like
I just had the biggest thing I think for me is, if you want this incentive, right? If you're wanting the incentive, I would assume that you want a big business, because again, it's not just, the trip is great and it's wonderful and it's amazing, but long lens view, the trip is here. You can make money with Scentsy to go on the trip, right? That's not coming out of your family's pocket, okay? But Long Lens View is a big business if you're here to get this incentive, okay? Because you're not just going to sponsor people for the incentive and be like, okay, bye, got my points, I'm good, and peace out. No, you got to take care of those people, right? So Long Lens View, you want big, wide, deep. Okay, that's what you want your team to look like. So I feel like we've harped so hard on, you want a big front line, you want a wide front line, which is so true. But then you've got to teach those front line to do what you're doing. You've got to be intentional about who you're working with, right? Who actually shows that they want it and not just says it, okay, with 100 PRV and they ain't sponsored nobody and they've been around the business for 5 years. Okay, you don't want a big business, like let's just be real, okay? We have to be intentional. You have someone who's coming out the gate, they're hungry and they're like wanting all the PRV, doing all the things, and they're like, I think I might want to sponsor. Feed the hungry people, okay? Show them what you're doing, challenge them, right? I want you to have 5 conversations by the end of this week. Done, okay? And they might get all no's, that's okay. But what you've done is you just made it so it's this conversation's becoming normal to them, okay? The more conversations they have, the better they're going to be at it, the more chance they have of hearing a yes, okay? You want to teach them. You want it to be deep, okay? Again, Long Lens, right? Prime example. Right now, for me, I have someone who technically is a 2nd gen director. She is now my 1st gen director because her director is not a director. If I wasn't focused on the deep, okay, she wouldn't be, I mean, she would still be a director because she's doing all her things. But like for me, right, if I wasn't focused on the deep, I have no relationship, okay? It's going to be a lot different than her just coming up out of nowhere, all right? When you're intentionally focused on how can I help you? Let me show you what I'm doing. Let me give you this challenge. It matters and it makes a difference. So big, wide, deep. You want to build a big business, you need at least 2 new teamies a month, okay? So my focus and on my plan is what I've done is, yes, I want 2 new teamies a month. So what I've done is I've already been paying attention. Who are the people interacting the most in the parties? Okay, they like Scentsy. They want something free, all right? Let's talk to you about getting paid back on your purchases. Let's talk to you about how I get my Scentsy for free and discounted, okay? Those people, I have asked those people to do a party. They are partying in September. I've already got 2 of them in my mind, okay? They're partying in September. One girl starts on Friday and goes into September, okay? I'm gonna ask them about joining. Then I'm also gonna make sure I only need so much Scentsy, okay? I'm gonna make sure that I have a heavily discounted kit, not free, okay? 1, you can't advertise that. 2, that has never worked for me. So that's just me. A heavily discounted kit available to offer to someone that I think might need it. So that would put me at trying to get 3 teamies a month. Okay, that is my goal for this incentive. All right. And then working with downline and working with frontline. Okay, not just the people I sponsored, but also trickling down. And I think that's super. I just feel like it's so important for us to see that and creating those relationships with those teammates down. Okay, like not just, oh, you should know who I am. No, they should not know who you are. Like, let's be real. How are you working with them? How are you going to help them get to their goals? It has to be about them, okay? When you can help other people get to their goals, then you get the blessings of the background. So I think that's like the biggest thing I have here is just big, wide, deep. I literally wrote it like 3 times. Big, wide, deep, big, wide, deep. So that's week 1. That was my biggest thing, I feel like.
Yeah. So yeah, just to go off that, as far as week 1, questions to ask yourself, and we already kind of went over this in the training, but how many combos have you had this month? And so for someone who is focusing on sponsoring, that's where we talk about the ATF, we talk about the numbers, because you may feel like you're asking all the people, you may want to ask all the people, you may think about how you're going to do it, but actually having the conversation where you have said something, where you've tried to start a conversation about it, tracking how many you have, that at least to start, especially if you're not sponsoring a lot, that is where I suggest that you start. So how many conversations have you had this month and how many people have you sponsored? And that's going to tell a lot too for your conversations, for your wording. If you've had literally 100 conversations this month and you haven't sponsored but maybe 1 person, then that's where we need to talk about how you're doing that. What's your wording look like? Who are you talking to? Like all of those things, right? So I don't want to say there's like a perfect equation to sponsoring, but there are factors that will help you be more successful in sponsoring, right? So I know that one of the, I can't remember what her name was, but it was about Sylvia. It was the people that you follow a lot, but they were talking about hosting, where it says like, ask these questions before you ask someone to host. Do I know her? Has she ordered from me? You know, something. Same thing for sponsoring, where you have to like get to know these people instead of just cold messaging, right? Now, there are a few times where you just get a feeling from someone that maybe you just met and they're like, oh my gosh, I love Scentsy. I've been looking for a Scentsy girl forever. I love that you're in my neighborhood and then I'm right down the road from you and then I can smell all the scents. Then yeah, you might want to be like, well, have you ever thought about doing it yourself? Then you can smell all the scents you want to, right? Yes, you.this. That is the group. You.this. But they're a good group to follow too. But and I wrote down, this is your journey. At first I wrote down, this is a journey, but I crossed that out and put your, because this is yours. You get to do it how you want. If sponsoring one person a month or sponsoring one person every other month is your goal and you hit that, celebrate your dang self, right? But as your leaders, when someone comes to us and says, this is what I want to do, we're going to help you get there with the numbers that are going to get you there quickest, right? But just know that the way that you do it is your way. And that's just as important as being here, because if you're doing this and you're not enjoying it. Now, I do want to say this because no one ever says this, so I'm going to burst a bubble a little bit, but this business is not always going to be fun. It's not always going to be enjoyable. It's not always going to be your favorite thing in the whole wide world to do. If it is, you are blessed. Use it, right? Use it as your outlet. I know that me and a few others, that's how we use it. When it's something to call our own, all of the rainbows and butterflies, but it's not always going to be fun. You're not always going to want to have those hard conversations. You may enjoy having the pictures and getting your customers a deal and getting hostess rewards for your host and having a bomb party, right? That's super enjoyable. But then when you're like, oh, I haven't sponsored anyone this month, and you really need to dig deep and do the hard things that don't come as easy to you, it's not going to be as easy. Right. And that's when things change. When you do those things when you don't want to, or you do those things that maybe don't come as natural to you as they seem to come to other people. But overall, right, this business, if you're doing this, should be more of a payoff, should be more enjoyable, should give you things that you can't have in with other jobs, right? Because that's the thing that we lose sight of too. I'm not personally in this business for trips. Right? I started this business because I needed money. This is a business to me. This is a business that makes money. This is how I put food on our table. This is how I put the roof over our head, right? This is how I do those things. Now it used to not be that. We went without a lot more before that changed and before that began to happen. But just know that this can be that. And yeah, there's been a lot of late nights and a lot of hard times, a lot of crying, a lot of I want to quit, a lot of I can't deal with these ladies anymore. But right, I'm still here. And that's the truth. When you're in a business like this and you have almost 1,000 women with a lot of different personalities, it's going to be hard. It's not always going to be enjoyable. It's not always going to be fun, but it will always be worth it. Okay. But this is your journey and you get to decide where you go and what you do with it. Okay. So like I said, I'm not necessarily in this business to take trips. Are they nice? Absolutely. Are they something that we don't have to have? Absolutely. But in the end, this is a business. And that's what it's teaching you to do, is build a big business, build the wealth for your family, for other people, for yourself. Okay. So I don't think we don't need to lose sight of that. Make time for the things you want is something I wrote down watching these videos too, because I think a lot of times people say, well, I want to do this, right? I want to build a big business. I want to be a director. Okay. But those wants don't come without the action. Okay. So you can't be a director with a team of 2. Impossible, right? You have to have minimum PRB. You have to have active frontline. You have to have team numbers, right? You have to have, if you're not aware, there's things that you have to do as a director to stay compliant as a director in Scentsy. There are things you have to do to become a director. You can't just want it and not take action to get it, okay? So make the time for the things you want. Yeah, it's not going to be director overnight, or it's not going to be whatever your goal title is overnight. And that's where we come in, and we come in with the plans to say, okay, well, these are the goals, right? These should be the goals. What are you hitting right now compared to this? This is how we're going to help you get there. Self-improvement. Huge. If you're not listening to podcasts or reading books or doing something related to either direct sales, MLM, small business, anything like that, I highly suggest that you start doing that, okay? Because one, you're going to surround yourself with people who think like you and have goals like you. But they're also going to help you realize more about the business that you're in. So if you don't understand an MLM or a direct sales business format, or how it works, or how it's not a scam, or how it's not illegal, or you don't understand that, you have to educate yourself to know what you're doing. Okay. Podcasts where they're not only sharing what they're doing in their business, but a lot of those are so empowering from hearing other people's stories, or are showing you how they got to where they are, right? Yes, YouTube video trainings, Audibles. There's just so many options. Me personally, it's usually podcasts. I'll pop one in, just like a training. A lot of people say, oh, well, I don't want to just send people trainings. Okay, well, we're in a business of technology like this, right? So this is what we do. You're going to have to watch videos. You're going to have to listen to other people. It's not something that you're going to be able to sit in your office and go to work from 9 to 5 and not talk to anybody and be done. Okay, you are in a person business, you're in a relationship building business, all of those things. You're going to have to talk to people. You're going to have to listen to others who are in the same business, and that in turn is going to help you. Anything else, Anya? Sylvia, did you have anything? I was going to ask you, actually put you on the spot. Someone said that they've been doing this for 2 years and they really want to build it big. What are your suggestions, Sylvia?
Yeah, I'm coming up on 2 years in November. For me, it was consistency. My life, like I double promoted to lead really quick in the first month without even trying, because my friend decided to join under me. But it took 5-6 months for me to then start promoting. And then it was just like an aha moment where I stopped thinking about myself and really understood when people said it's not about you, that it like clicked. Because then after that, it was like quick promotions. Now director has been a roller coaster, but I'm learning more every time, every month, every day, about loving on my people. And I think they sense that I really do give a crap about them, that I want the best for them. So I'm going to share what I know worked for me, which is party, because that's like, I try to do a minimum of 6 parties a month. But I build those relationships. I try to nurture my relationships with my teamies and just grow as like a family. Sponsoring is a little difficult sometimes for me, just because I'm still working on the transition from having that building relationships to let's talk about what Scentsy can do for you. Because you can get into a relationship building cycle that then you're like, oh, we're really good friends. Now, when am I going to bring up Scentsy without feeling salesy? But it's also that mentality of not thinking, I'm here, I'm a director, I'm done. It's every month you have got to do the work from the last month and the month before and the month before. Okay. If you're not doing the things you want your teamies to do, and not sharing that, like I'm not somebody who shares every single day. This is how I'm working. But if it's something that I know can definitely help them in their business, not for just a day, but something that they can do over and over again, I'm going to share it. I am somebody who jumps on my team page live whenever the heck I feel like it. Like I do my Tip Tuesdays, but if I find that there is something I need to talk about, or I have 2 teamies asking me those questions, I'm going to share it with my team. I also feel that you grow as a person if you share beyond your team. So on your director's page, for one. And then, you know, legacy leaders, huge home for leaders. Like, if you're not sharing all of the things, and I am not somebody who will hold back on crap because I'm feeling like somebody might be my competition. If I have a good party system, which I used to, now I'm borrowing people's, and I'm grateful for those people to share their parties with me, and then I can change it around or whatever. But I am not going to hold back. If my PRV, like, I'm gonna be honest, a lot of people complain to me about not being able to party this month. I had 7 parties this month. I am over 2,700 PRV. Okay. And it's not easy, but I do it. I ask people, I get really involved in my parties and all those things. So it's a lot of work, but you have to consistently do it. And if you're not doing the work, you can't expect your teamies to do their work too. Okay. So, my team's still small. It's still 32, and it goes back and forth with the people that we've lost from joint specials. But my teamies are starting to become more, they're starting to sponsor more. And I love that. Not because it's like, great, our numbers are going to go up. It's because they're getting more comfortable with the idea of wanting to share this and sponsor people and help their lives change. And my life has changed since joining, but mostly consistency, hard work, never stop. This is your job. If this, like, for me, it's a full-time job. Being a director is at least a part-time job. You're not going to go to your job, get a promotion to manager and be like, all right, deuces, guys, I'm sitting right here. You do your thing. I've got the manager title. No, because you still need to help those people that are below you where you used to be. You need to help them one day promote to manager or director. So you can't just sit back. You need to do the work and then share with everybody, not just your team, like everybody. So that is my 2 cents. Just really remember, it's not about you.
Yeah, and remembering going that extra mile. So same thing that Sylvia said, a lot of people have come to me this month. My PRV is so low. Okay, well, how many people have you asked to party this month? How many parties do you have planned? Oh, I've asked 5 people to party. They all ghosted me. Okay, well, you got to ask a lot more than that, first of all, but also going the extra mile in your party. So a lot of people have said, oh, well, it's been a flop this month. Those happen. Let's be completely real. Party flops happen, but there's also, have you gone the extra mile in that party, right? Did you message everyone at the beginning? If you did it, that's okay. Did you message everyone at the end? No, it's not over yet. Okay, did you message everyone in the middle? Did you post on there that you messaged them? Did you try and build a relationship or talk to them like you would if they were right in front of you instead of just trying to get a sale from them, right? Did you post anything interactive in the Facebook group? You can tell who's seeing them. Reach out to them. Hey, thanks so much for attending the party. How can I help you with your order? Or how do you know the host? Or making it more like what we were built on, which are in-home parties, right? So when someone comes in the door, you don't ignore them until it's time to order, right? You go and talk to them. You start building a relationship with them. Have you ever used Scentsy before? That's usually one of the first questions. And I even post that in my parties, and that's a huge interaction post. Are you a Scentsy virgin? People are like, oh, so funny, right? You know, but that's an interactive post. No, girl, we are not in the virginity anymore. I am a Scentsy user. I know all about it. I know the ins and outs. I know every single position. Let's go. Okay, right? Make it fun. Talk to these people like you're building a relationship with them, because you are. They're potential customers, potential hosts, potential teamies. Right? So just like at a home party, when they come in the front door, what are you doing? Are you just sitting back and posting on your Bizly or your automatic poster and just hoping that someone's going to interact with you? No, you are the host. You are the consultant, right? So yeah, really going the extra mile in the parties and with parties. And next week is about PRV. And there's just so much about it. You know, Sylvia just shared her PRV for the month. We have people who are 2K, 3K. And then we have, I know some of my friends in this business, right? 5K, 7K, 10K, PRV this month, right? So when you tell me I can't get PRV, sorry, I don't feel bad for you, because it's a matter of what have you done to get your PRV, okay? It's going to take work. It's going to take maybe working an extra hour. It's going to take more than just throwing it out there or posting on social media, right? But it can be done, and it's totally doable. The last question I had for y'all is just to see if anyone have questions about the point structure, okay? Yes, exactly, Nikki. Is it a priority? And let's be real. It's a 2 o'clock. It's 3 o'clock for most of you, but it's the afternoon and you're on this call. This is a priority for you. I mean, otherwise you just like are doing the opposite because you're here in the middle of the day and I don't know what you're doing if it's not your priority. But does anyone have any questions about the point structure of the incentive? Because it can be a little confusing. Anya, do you have anything else?
I don't have anything about the point structure. I just have
Oh,
like,
no, just in general.
oh, in general. I think one thing that it's really hard to prepare people for something like that they don't really know. Like they know what they want, but they don't really know what they're walking into. When you look at that point structure, you're like, okay. Like I remember telling my husband, I think it was for the Broadmoor and the Disney one. I was like, there's no effing way. And Whitney wants me to go train and act like this is possible. There's no way. And he's like, you better pull it together because you're training on it, right? You better walk the walk. Like you can't expect people to do it if you're sitting here like, it's not going to happen. And so I think it's hard to try to get people into the mindset, but you just like, you need to know, like, work your butt off. Okay. And that's as like nice as I can, but work hard. Okay. It's going to be a heavy workload. A freaking free trip isn't just handed to you. It's not going to happen by accident. So if you're like 3 parties and I'm going to hit my goals, probably not. Let's do something different. Okay. Push the limit. If you're normally booking 3 parties, let's go for 6 and see what happens. Okay. Push the limit. All it's going to do is expand your network. And I say that because when I first started, and I was literally just here to get paid back on my purchases, I remember saying, well, I'm going to book 2 parties this month. But if I try to book any more, then next month I'm screwed. No, next month my network has expanded. I have more people to talk to. Okay. So that needs to be your mindset, like work your butt off. Okay. And the other thing is you've got to talk to people. I don't know why people think it's just going to fall in their lap. Like, oh, I don't have good PRV, but I didn't ask anybody. Nobody joined me. How many join conversations I've had? I've not talked to anybody. I've not asked anybody. You've not asked anybody. Like, I'm sorry, duh. Nobody has joined you. Like, hello, it doesn't just fall right in your lap. Sometimes, every once in a while, not very often. Okay. And I have watched people be pushed to director that should not have been pushed to director, but that's not how you want it. It's not sustainable. And those people aren't directors today. You got to put in the work. You got to put in the effort. So I think that's the big thing. Like when it comes to what should I expect to work freaking hard, but it's going to be so worth it, you guys. Oh, it's so worth it. It's so worth it. It's so worth it. It's so worth it. All of it for the trip, for beyond the trip. It's so worth it. Exhausting, but it's going to be awesome.
Real quick. So that's why I shared the Tip Tuesday today about working the catalog, because people are forgetting that as much as they're like, oh, I'm not getting any parties. It's like, well, then talk to people. Because honestly, Anya, until you were like, oh, and this was like a few months ago, I think you told me you're like, oh, these parties are flopping. I'm going to get 2 more parties. I'm like, I used to never really do that. I used to have 4 parties, 6 parties, whatever. And if some flopped, I didn't think like to add more to that month. I always used to be like, next month will be better. But now it's like, there's still a week left. If I can get somebody to party next week, we're good, or party into September, we're good. But also work the catalog, get the parties now at the beginning, because last season, I didn't do that last August. Last August was like one of the months for me during the incentive trip. And I was scrounging for PRV in January. I did get level 2, but I really wanted level 3. And I wasn't even that far from level 3. But if I had really worked August, I probably could have made level 3. So now that's like an incentive for me now, is to be like, I want all of the PRV and try to sponsor as many people as I can now, like front loading, as we all say, but work that catalog, y'all. Don't wait for those LTOs. Don't rely on Harvest Collection, Holiday Collection. Those things sell themselves. Like, you will have people dying because there's stuff sold out. It's like, well, you should have pre-ordered or something. But it's not going to be hard to get people to buy that. It's going to take more work to work the catalog, but that's what we have. And that's what we should be doing.
Yes, absolutely. All of that. Kara said the points are confusing. The easiest way that I can break it down is figure out how many points you want, right? As far as what level you want to reach for. I'd say go about 1,000, maybe 2,000 over what the minimum is for that level, and then divide it by 6. And that's how many points you need a month to stay on track to earn it. And then in that month, divide it by, take away what PRV, I don't want to say what you usually do, but a good reasonable goal that is within the range of your PRV, and then figure out, okay, well, this is how many people I need to sponsor to get the certified. Because the other part of that is, even though you're dividing that mass number by 6, if you're sponsoring 2 people this month, the 2 certified, they're eventually going to hit. They may not hit in that month, right? So you may have a month where you have 6,000 sponsoring points, and it's because people from the past finally hit certified, or not the past, but from this month finally hit certified, and the people you sponsored that month hit certified too, and this is all going to hit at once. So that happens a lot too. But if y'all ever have any specific questions about the points, just let us know. Just message us. I didn't see any other questions in the chat, so that is it. We just wanted to touch base with you and go over some of the things that we've heard from y'all. Next week, I'll go ahead and post this today, is PRV. So super excited to go over that, because again, that is controllable. And once you have that and you believe that and you start working towards that, you'll see a difference in your PRV. So we'll do the accountability feedback, probably pushed into next week since we waited till this video. But otherwise, I'm gonna go ahead and stop the recording.